Welcome to the Shopify design training. Today I want to walk you through pretty much everything you have to know to get your ideas out of your head onto your store using all the great tools that Shopify gives us. And for this, I'm going to walk you through a clone that we built of the Nike store. You can see it here. This is built using a free theme we only use one app for this. So this is basically a cookie cutter build, something you can definitely build yourself with just a little bit of training. So I'm just going to walk you through how the site works, and then we're actually going to dive in and I walk you through all the customizers and all the things we have to know so you can build something like this for your own brand. So here you can see we have what's called the announcement bar and the navigation. We're going to talk about all the elements in a second, but you've probably seen how a Shopify store looks in general. Then we have great callouts. We have something that's called collections. They even have effects. We have hover effects. We can click into all of these. We have the footer. So this is technically how it works. There's some cool features, like when we click on men, for example, then we get a custom collection design. We have these sections here. We have a section here. And then one of my favorites is, and that's a little bit more advanced, but are these sections here where we build custom product pages, and these product pages have photo shoots. Now, here's an interesting or cool thing. This is a San Francisco team, so of course we want to attach the San Francisco photo shoot, but if I were to switch to a different product, and of course even the featured products you may also like, we only want to promote the Golden State Warriors here. We don't want to show a different team because someone already indicated that they're interested in this team. But let's say, for example, we go back a step and I'm now going to the Lakers. That's the wrong one. Here are the Lakers. Now we have the same layout, but now we just show the Lakers photo shoot. And this is using the exact same template, just with a little bit of a metafill trickery. So that's totally doable with Shopify out of the box. And now let's actually talk about how we can build something like this. So we always start here in our dashboard. You maybe, depending on how new you are to Shopify, you might land on this home tab. Just a quick overview. All of our designs, so we have a backend and a front end. The backend is where we upload our products, where we create the collections and all of this, where we have the business settings, the payment collection, all of that. That is disconnected from the design. So we have what's called the sales channels, which is our online store would be one, Google Shopping would be one, TikTok Shop, Instagram Shop. There's many different ways where we can sell. That's considered a sales channel. Our online store is just one of those. The POS service, for example, would also be one. If you have a retail store, that's also considered a sales channel. Why am I saying this? This is because the design, you can think of it as two layers. The design lays on top of our product. So you can do all the backend settings, we can create products, and then we can have multiple sales channels. And if we say, you know what, I want to update a completely new design, that doesn't mean we have to create the products again. So all of the hard work we did on the backend side will stay, and we can just reference it from the front end or the sales channels. That being said, if you've done the work once, created the products, created the collections, created the navigation, you can freely dive into the themes and actually start designing and access all of that without having to do the hard work again. Okay, so this is the visual layer. This is what we see when we select the online store and then the themes. Now to answer the big question, what theme should you use? This was built on the Dawn theme. I always recommend going with a Shopify theme, so they have their own theme store. You can just click add theme here and then you can see visit theme store. Let's open it up for a second. So they have a good selection. When you click browse themes, you can explore and just take a look what you like. If you're a beginner, I would just start with a free theme. They always work. I'm a big fan of the Dawn theme. All the others work good. With trade, that's more for wholesale, but the Sense is a very popular one. Craft is very popular. We see with our students work really well. But if you definitely feel like, you know what, I don't know which one to pick, go with the Dawn one. It has all the features. And the main reason why I would recommend going with a Shopify owned theme, because there's theme stores out there where you can buy, on ThemeForce, for example, where you can technically buy a theme from an independent developer. But through our agency work, we noticed they come with a lot of bugs. Some things don't work. They don't have any supports. You can't get help anywhere. Whereas if you use a Shopify theme, they're all based on the Dawn theme. So even if you go with a paid one, let's say the Divine theme, even the Divine theme started on the Dawn theme. So all the sections, everything you'll learn today in this video applies to any of these themes. And this is just so much easier to find help. They're also vetted by Shopify. They work better. and many, many more reasons. So just browse around. I would recommend go with a free one. You can always swap them. Again, the hard work is in the products and the setup and the infrastructure. Swapping a design, that's something, once you know how to do it, that you can do within a day or two, depending on how much time you have. All right, let's go back. So we are using the Dawn theme. Let's actually start from scratch so you can see how it works. I'm first going to give you a tour of the customizer. What is the customizer? That is our design tool where we actually create the page. You can open it here, customize, and then you can see this is the actual build site, but now we have a selector up here. I have it disabled, yours should be enabled, and when you hover over it, you can see the individual sections. Now every block you can see here that's being highlighted is called a section. We have here on the side, you can also navigate to it. I'm just switching my face to the other side. So here you can also select it. See, we have a collection list. We have a collection list here. The only big difference I want you to know is we have this top part, what's called the header. And the only thing to remember is whatever is in the header is the same on all pages. So if I were, for example, click on men, then everything will change except for the top part. And the same goes for the footer at the very bottom. So whatever goes into the footer will always stay the same regardless of what page I am. So if you run into an issue where you add something to your store and then sometimes by accident we add it to the header instead of the template and you see it show up everywhere, just keep in mind you probably just added it to the wrong section and you just want to, instead of using the header or footer, you just want to add it to the actual page template and then it's going to work. So this is the customizer. We can just hover over it. When you select it, it's bringing up more of these settings. You can see this is where we select the images and we have a bunch of settings here. I don't want to bore you with all of that. That's something you'll probably already assume, or you can even see if you do it yourself. But you can see once we click on the rich text. So rich text, or all of these high-level ones, are considered a section. And then everything within a section is considered a block. Try not to confuse it too much, but you'll see it when you see the button saying add block. That means now we add it to the rich text. Whereas if I go to the bottom and we say add section, this is then adding a completely new section. So I could add, when I click add section, it's going to bring up the search and I can search for rich text. And this would allow me to add a new one. And then within that rich text, I have high-level settings that apply to this entire section. So this would be where the content is centered. I can move it to the left, I can move it to the right. I can also align the content. So this was just the position. We can also make the text left aligned, right aligned. So this automatically applies to all the blocks within it. And of course, if we wanted to change now the text, we can just select each of these individual elements, give it a name. This is fun. Make it large, extra large, small, play around with it. And of course, we can do it with all the other ones. Buttons, we can even hide or remove them. Removing, we would click the trash or this icon, the garbage icon. And for hiding, we would select the eye. Now, when something is hidden, it will not be rendered on the front end. Oftentimes a question when you have a lot of elements and you hide them, will it slow down your site? It won't, because it actually, for the theme, it doesn't exist. Even though we see it here, it's not being included in the final build. So you can just hide something, you can build something out, hide it, publish the page, and it won't slow down the page. I'm going to remove this entire section. And before we explore the homepage a little bit, there's a couple of other settings that we can explore, and these are here on the side called the theme settings and the app embeds. Right now, the theme settings are, I think, the most important part. This is where we can, when you click on it, we can upload our logo, we can upload a favicon, we can select the colors that we want to use throughout this theme. Now, how Shopify or how colors are handled down Shopify is by schemas. So we can, for example, define 5 or even more schemas, and then for each element we can say, you should have schema 1, you should look like schema 2, and in action it would just look like this. For the colors, we say we have a white background and dark font. In this case, we also have the inverse. We have a dark background and white font. We have a red one. We have a gray and like this blue tint. And you could even add another one. And now I can go into each individual element and you can see scheme 4 is applied. If I would say, you know what, I'm actually going to make my face smaller. If I want it to be white on red, then I just select a different scheme and it changes automatically. Now this is such a great feature because you can't make any issues with the colors, you can't make any big mistakes, you can't forget to update something. So if you just say, you know what, let's say we have a designer, or we just decided we want to change our brand colors, all you'd want to do is we just go into the colors, and let's say instead of the black, we're now using a blue. You select the blue and everything updates automatically. In this case, we don't want the blue, we want the black back. So this is just how the colors work, very, very simple. This is one of the first things you want to define. And then typography, very similarly too. Typography is all the fonts that we're using, or text settings in general. And we only have two big selections. We have our headings. So these are the menu items and, of course, the actual big headings. And then we have the body font. And the body font would, for example, be this text or this text. So everything that's the smaller text, so like the bigger bulk of the text, would be the body. If you say, I want to change the font, then just click on change. We get a selection of fonts. If you can't decide on anything, then here are system fonts with pretty much the best styling. So if you say a mono font is what looks like a little bit more robotic, I'll show you. You can see how this updated now. If we do a serif, sans serif font, then this is pretty much what we're using right now. This is defaulting to Roboto. And then a serif font is, if we check it here, looks more like a jewelry store or something like this. Once you selected one, hit select. I'm going to cancel it so we're not overriding our changes. And that's how we pick our fonts. And then you can also see in here, and we're going to talk about this in a second when we start building a little bit of this page, then we have many more controls, like the buttons, for example, are usually square or rectangular. But if you wanted to apply a little bit of the corner rounding, then we can just go into our buttons. And then you can see we apply a corner, we can give it a corner radius. So we can change a lot in the settings. If you've tried Shopify before and you worked with a theme before, we get many, many more features now. So it has gotten much, much easier. We need very little code. And through the customizer, we can just play around, add new sections, remove sections, and pretty much build anything. Now, one of the most important things before we actually start building now is that I wanted to show you is how you can actually make save updates. Because with design, it always happens, we change one thing, we don't like the look of it. We always want to make sure we don't do the design changes on the what's called the live theme. That's always the topmost. Meaning if someone were to visit a website, this is what everyone's seeing right now. If you have a lot of traffic, if you run ads right now, we don't want to mess around with this one. We always want to create a duplicate of the theme just so we can make save edits. And then when we like the edits, we can publish it. And if we don't like the edits, we can just easily discard it and start over. And we're never risking breaking anything. So what I would do is in here, I would click duplicate if we wanted to just make changes to it. Since I actually want to show you how to start building something like this, I'm going to start fresh. So I'm going to click on add theme. We'll now go to the theme store that I showed you earlier. And then let's see if they already give us the Dawn theme. They're not. Let's download it. Free Dawn. There it is. Try theme. And it takes a second. Then I always like to rename it just so we know what we're doing. You can leave the Dawn, but in this case, this is the Nike clone. So I'm just saying Nike design course. Hit save. And as soon as this is done with the spinner, you can see it now. Now we can actually customize it. And once we're happy with the changes, all we have to do is click publish. And then this would become the live theme. So now all of our traffic will see this one. And if you realize, you know what, we had an issue, we need to go back to the previous version, all you need to do is click publish again on the old theme. It always becomes the first one in this list. And now this is the live theme again. So it's very easy to switch the themes. If we break something, super easy as long as we have duplicates that we can just make changes and publish them immediately. There's no time delay. As soon as we publish this and people refresh, they will see the new updates. All right, that being said, we're all set up to make the save edits. Let's click customize and get started. This is what you're seeing as well. So everyone's going to see the exact same thing. We already uploaded products, so we have them here. We're not going to talk about too much here, but I'm actually going to walk you now through the exact same steps that I would take so you can get to a very similar store. And we've built now over 511 stores, so this is muscle memory for me. Excuse me if I'm moving a little bit fast. I try to comment as much as I can. Otherwise, just go back and follow along. So one of the first things I always want to do is set the colors. In this case, exactly how we said, we go to our colors here. We have our schemes. Now those are looking very similar. I just know Nike is using a different tone or shade of black. So we have 6 ones for the black, and the button, just for completion's sake, we use ones as well. And here as well. Now this is, oh, this was too little. You can do 3 ones if it's always the same and it auto completes. And now for the black, I'm just going to do the invert. We do 3 ones here, white is okay, 3 ones here. And the other schemas we're just going to ignore for now, because this would just be the exact same steps. Now that is done. The next thing I want to do is our logo, just so we have it. So I'm going to select image. I have everything uploaded here. I'm going to provide some of these assets underneath the video. So if you want to actually follow along and do all of this, you can just download them and add your logo here. Of course, you're also free to just do it at the same time in your own store, and you can see it automatically replaces the logo here or the text. And then we also have the favicon image. What that is what you see at the top. As someone opens our browser tab, then we only have the small badge on the left of the browser, and that is what's called the favicon. So we select this one as well. Hit save. Now we got the colors in the logo. Let's go back one step and let's actually change the typography. Now in this case, I know Nike is using a font very similar to an Helvetica font. So I'm just selecting Helvetica, and here for the body we do the same. They have an Helvetica, save. That's pretty much everything we have to do. So now we have the base set up. The next thing I want to show you is how we have the pricing here. You can see we say $, price, decimals, USD. Doesn't look as clean. In the actual example, I have it open. We don't have the decimals and we don't have the USD. To get to the same, and I'm just going to show you some quick wins, how you can improve your store immediately. That's one of the things we can do in the settings as well. We go into currency format, and then you can select or deselect where it says show currency code. As soon as I deselect this, this is going to drop the USD. And for me, it will also remove the decimals. For you, it won't, but I'll show you what you have to do so it will. So if I remove this, the price is going to look perfect. And the reason why I'm not seeing the decimals, but you are, is because I added an extra setting that I'll show you how to do. We go to our actual settings, and then we go to under General, Currency Display, click the 3 dots and say Change Currency Formatting. And then here on the right, it should also for you, it will also just say amounts. And what you want to add is underscore, no underscore decimals. And then just copy it and paste it here as well. I already have it. And this is going to remove the decimals. And if you have an uneven number, or like let's say $12.59, Shopify will automatically round it for us. You don't have to actually go in and change all of your product pricing. Shopify will do the rounding. We'll also charge people the rounded number. So it's going to work seamlessly. All right, this is what we have right now. Let's take a look at what the actual page has and then start copying it. So first, let's start at the very top with the announcement bar. We'll first assign the color, and then we actually make the content change. For the color, we know what to do. We select schema 4 that we just added. Some settings I always like to remove is show separated line. No, we don't want it. Everything else we can leave as is. And now for the navigation. This is, or actually let's change the welcome to our store quickly. What are we using? Okay, in this case, we have an ad for the course. We say free shipping for all orders over $50. Just something that you want to say. If you want to link it to something like shop our new shoes, we can also add a link to it, to our shoes, and then people can just click it and automatically go there. But you usually want to use it for an announcement. If you actually don't have anything to announce, totally fine. You can also hide it. And this is also looking really clean. Now here for the actual navigation, there's a couple of settings I'm always changing. So here, show separator line, we don't need. This is going to give us a little bit of space. Then for the color scheme, we can actually leave it. Here, if you're not selling internationally, then I would recommend disable the country and region selector. I'm also disabling the language selector, and show avatar we can leave. This is when someone signed in. It's actually going to show their face. And then margin wise, I will leave it. Just make sure that it's roughly the same size in navigation as I'm showing. If you see it to be a little bit bigger, and changing the padding here is not going to do anything. So this is changing the padding. We can reduce it a little bit. If this is not changing anything, then it's probably because your logo is too big, or too big in a height, because we can't make it smaller like this. Then just make sure whenever you import your logo, it's actually cut to only hug or wrap around your logo and don't include a lot of white space. I'm hitting save. And now you can see we have some navigation already. If we wanted to change the navigation, you can just click here under main menu and then change menu. And then you can see we already created multiple ones. So I already created one. I would just select this. And exactly like I said, this is part of the backend, meaning if you set up the navigation once and you get a new theme, you just select the navigation just like I did right now, and it's going to show up for you. If you are here, I'm going to just change it to what we had before, the main menu, and you actually want to set up a navigation. What you want to do is you'll go back to your dashboard, and then under the online store, you see the navigation. And then in here, you can just edit the main menu. You can also create a new menu. You can see we have multiple menus here. But if you wanted to say we wanted to change this, then you can just edit it. You can add pages. You can just add a menu. We can even call it, let's say shop. Let's do shoes. I wasn't typing, shoes. Doesn't allow me to type, probably because I'm screen recording. But this is how you would do it. And then a quick trick as well, you can even drag something to make it a submenu. So if I, for example, want people to shop ingredients, let's say ingredients would be a collection, I can drag it underneath. You see the indentation here. So I drag it underneath, and now I have a submenu. And now if someone were to click on shop, they will have then a drop down, and the drop down will include ingredients. We can even nest it one more. Even ingredients can have a submenu. So this is how you build really nice navigation. In general, there are some rules I would always adhere. There are some mistakes I see beginners do. And also by default, you'll get a home button, you get the about us, you get the contact. I would remove everything from the main navigation that's not encouraging a sale. So you should just follow the examples that the big brands are doing, where add your collections there, add just like purchase focused navigation. If you have a size guide, add the size guide maybe there if it's required to make purchases. So everything that makes you money kind of, we want to put there. The contact us, the about pages, drop that to the footer. That's where people expect it to be. And this way we can just keep it clean, keep it tight, and we kind of want to reduce the amount of words and characters we use, because otherwise it gets really quickly overwhelming for a visitor. All right, that's how we build the navigation. Now let's build the image banner. And I think we're just going to build the actual homepage here. And then for all the other stuff, I don't want to bore you. We have the next videos for that. But here, let's build all of that. And then you guys will know exactly how to work with Shopify. Here, the image banner we get out of the box. You can just select image and select the one that we're using. Let's see if I can find it. We made a couple of changes. It's probably going to be one of the first ones that we added. Here it is, the hero image. Now, some of the edits that I'm always making, on, especially here in this case, you can see we don't have any overlay and we don't have any text on the image. So what we want to do is first remove the text here, and then we want to set the overlay opacity to 0. Now we see the actual image, perfect. For the banner height, there are multiple options. Just make sure you select one of these, small, medium, or large. And usually you don't want to select adapt to first image. This is going to look great at first, but as soon as we change the image size and the device size, then things fall apart really quickly. Whereas if we were to use mobile here, it's going to crop really, really nicely. So make sure you have one of these heights always selected. And everything else I think is looking good. Let's see if we're missing something. This is also something I always recommend doing when people say we design mobile first. This means that the majority of sites should actually be designed from this view because the majority of traffic will be on mobile. And I always like to design like this first and then always eventually come back to desktop and see how it looks. But Shopify, again, makes this very, very easy for us to get this by default. So this is looking good. Then we can move along. Let's see what else we need. We have then the rich text section. Every time we want to display a text like this, it's always called the rich text. So you can even hover here, add a section, search for rich text. Here it is. And now we want to call it, let's see, the greatest gifts for runners. I'm just going to paste this over. So now we can either select it here or we can even select the element in here, which is going to bring up this navigation and this detail setting, the greatest gifts for runners. I'm going to make this, is it extra large or extra large? Let's do extra large. Then for the actual description, we use this one. And for the button, we just say shop. Button label, this is the title, so this will be shop. And then if you see it being grayed out, that just means we don't have a button link set yet. So whenever you see a button, what's called disabled, that means that no link is set. So here I'm going to, let's see if we have a collection for runners. We might actually, gifts for men, shoes, winter running essentials. So I'm going to link this to the collection winter running essentials. And if you wanted to change, so there's two types of buttons. We have this primary button and then we have the outline button, which is just the inverse. You can see this only has the dark border, but I'm actually going to use the primary button. And if we wanted to add a second one, you can do this here. Once you start typing a label, a new button will appear. So let's see, or don't shop. Of course, this doesn't make any sense, but I just want to show you guys that this is how we usually would do it. Give it the outline button. We don't want to have competing elements, but we don't need this. We can just remove this button. And now, just because I talked about this very briefly, you can see in the original, we have a rounded button, but by default, we get these corners. So we go to theme settings, and then under the button settings, where is it here? We should already have a border, and then the corner radius, I'll just drag around, and then you should see the button update. And if you want it to be rounded like a pill, give it the maximum treatment. And then that's it. We hit save. And this is already looking really, really nicely. So what's next? The next is a collection. So there's many ways how we can do this, just with whatever Shopify gives us. So there is something called a collection, and then there's products. In this case, or just to very briefly summarize it, a collection is just a grouping of products. So think of it as if someone were to say, I'm shopping for men's products, then men's would be a collection with all the products that are related to men's products. And you can do this for anything, even the bestsellers, on sale, the kids collection, shoes. So as soon as you have more than one product grouped by something, some common denominator, then you talk about a collection. So in this case, we want to feature a collection, and there's something called a collection list, an element where we have multiple collections. So you can see this is the Air Force One collection. As soon as they click it, that's going to bring up two different Air Force Ones. We have the NBA collection. This is going to bring us all the NBA products and the leggings. You guys know how this works. We see all the leggings. So for this, we actually want to do a collection list. We do the exact same, add section. And if you type collection, you're going to see all the different options. And the main difference is collection list is multiple collections, and a featured collection is actually showing products within a collection. So this is a collection list. And then here in the blocks, we can actually, well, first actually, let's change the title. This is trending. So instead of collections, I just say trending, and we make this small. And here we can define how we want the images to show. So in our case, they are always square images. Again, don't use adapt to image, because if you have a weird image format, it's going to shift everything around. Just make sure your image ratio is always set to a default. I like to use square or portrait. Then here in the collections, you just select each, and then we start selecting them. This is the Air Force One collection. We have the second one was the NBA collection. And the third one is the leggings. And that's it. This is how we do it. If you want to change the spacing around, you can have the top padding and bottom padding here as well. But I think for now we're good. We might actually increase it a little bit, but let's add the next section first and then we'll see how the spacing works out. So now this again, these are also a collection list. We have the fleece collection now, and we have the running essential collection. So you can see this is, the system always is the same. We just want to feature or give people quick access to all of our products. So we actually do the exact same here. We add another collection list in between, search for collection, there it is. We call it featured. So at the very top, we just rename it to say featured, make it small, keep it selected as square. And then instead of number of columns on desktop, we actually only want to show 2. That's going to make it larger, and you can remove the third one, just as we in the beginning touched on. Click the trash icon, now we're left with 2. Let's select the first one. And then this was the gift of fleece. And this is the winter running essentials. Hit save. And let's do a quick preview on mobile. You can see it automatically wraps. This is looking really nicely. Featured. This is loading. Perfect. So this is looking really, really nice. Now let's continue with this. Now we have gifts by price. I feel like you're probably going to understand now how this is working. This is a little bit different now. This is a collection list still. So this is now grouped by price. All the items that are 30 and under, all the items that are 50 and under, or between that are greater than 30, but less than 50, and then 100. So this is just a quick filter. You can think of it as a quick filter. So what I would do here, under this collection, we're now going to add another collection list. 3 are good. Now we select the 30 and under, then we select the 50 and under, and the 100 and under. And here you can see now the images are cropping. So this is the rare exception where I know my image format is a little bit different now. So I actually want to adapt it to image, meaning always use my image size. This only works if you know exactly what you're doing. Otherwise, if you just uploaded something and it's looking and shifting things around, then change this to always crop to square or portrait. But in this case, we knew we always use the same image template. We know they're going to look fantastic next to each other. So we are now forcing Shopify to actually use our image size for that. Now this is, what was it called? Gifts by price. Gifts by price. Again, we make it small. And that's pretty much it. Let's see what else we have on the homepage. We have our hottest gifts. Now this is the last one. Finally, a different section. So if I select this, and if it lets me add one, I'm going to do it here this time. And now we're doing collection again, but instead of collection list, this is now a featured collection. And again, the difference is now these are directly products, whereas the other ones are kind of a pre-filter of a product. So this is what's called our hottest gifts. And we're featuring our, let's see if we have a gift collection. Otherwise, we're just going to do a fleece. So up here, our hottest gifts, make it small again. Small looks much cleaner. And then everything else we keep the same, and we select the collection here. And let's see if we have a gift collection. I think it is the fleece collection then. It could be the fleece. Yeah, it's the fleece collection, but we're only showing 3 products. So right now it's defaulting to 4, number of columns on desktop 4. We want to show 3 only, even though we have 4. So we're actually going to change this one because it says, okay, I want to show 3 per row, but show me a maximum of 4. But this we also changed to 3. And now it's going to give us the view all button that we can technically hide. If you don't want it, you can hide it. But of course, we want people to see the 4th item as well. So we're actually showing this button. And then that's pretty much it. Nothing else for us to change except for the this one, of course, we can remove. This is what we had by default. So this one we don't need. And now let's quickly talk about the footer and then just recap. And then you guys are good to go to build fantastic Shopify stores. So here, the footer, the biggest difference is you can see we have an inverted color. So the first thing I do is I select our scheme 4. Should look exactly the same as yours. Then just let's talk about the differences first. We don't have the email sign up. We are showing the social media. Now we made a little bit of code changes. You don't need to know how to do this right now in this video. Just the quick and easy settings everyone should do is, in this case, if you don't want to show it, we can hide the email sign up just by deselecting this. Then enable follow on shop. I would remove. This is going to bring you a big fat purple button that allows follow on shop, not heavily used right now. Show social media icons. Yes, we want this. Country selector, no. Language selector, no. Show payment icons. People are splits. I always like to hide them nowadays. If you have a great design store like this, people don't have any trust issues. Back in the days, it was always great to have if you had a just like janky looking website, but then you had the payment icons. So in this case, we're going to hide it. Show policy link, yes. This is going to give you automatically these links. You might not see them. If you haven't set them up yet in your settings, then you're not going to see anything here. But if I remove them, then they wouldn't show, but this is going to make it much easier. We don't actually have to add them to a menu. That's pretty much it. If we wanted to add social media, you can go into the theme settings right underneath, and then where it says Instagram, we can just do instagram.com/Hazel Studios. That would be our company, and then the icon would show up, and you can actually go ahead and link directly to it. And you have Facebook, like everything else that you have, you can just add to it. YouTube, you can see TikTok, Twitter. Just add your handles, and the icons will automatically show. That's it for that. So the next thing we want to do is how do we actually add these sections? And this is something I made a YouTube video about because most of the people don't know how to do this. This looks very advanced, but it's actually funny to do because when we add a block, we have this menu. And when we add a menu, it starts to look very different. So this is not everything that we have to do, but I'm going to show you what we actually do. So first, let's actually add menus, because these are the Get Help, the About Nike, and the Promotions. Those are actually 3 separate menus. And you saw it maybe earlier in the navigation, how I had multiple footer menus. So you can see we have a footer Get Help. We have, let's do another one. We have the menu. What's the other one? Change menu to footer. Let's say we have Get Help, About, and Promotions. So the second one would be About. And the third menu, we had another one, will be Promotions. Footer Promotions. So this is already looking good. You can see we get pretty much the layout we have here. We did make a code change to make the font a little bit smaller, but you don't have to do this. This is totally looking fine. But the trick is, how do we get a collection of links like this? And people don't seem to know how to do this. We haven't found anyone on the internet. So we were super happy because we knew exactly what to do. In this case, you wanted to use a text field. And the text should be the first element. And the text field now gives us the option to just add actually links in here. So that we don't even have a headline, so you can remove the heading. And then in here, I'm just going to copy paste this if it allows me to. It does, nice. So in here, we can just remove everything and then paste the links and find a store, add the line breaks back. We hit save. Now the main difference that we did, you can see the styling looks a little bit different, and this is a little bit more advanced, but if you know how to write code or you have a developer that is helping you writing code, then you can tell them, go to the footer, and then each section, every section that Shopify has, comes at the very bottom in the customizer with a section called, or a setting called custom CSS. CSS is a styling code where you can, for example, say, we can say anything. I want the background to be red, and it should update it. Important. It might be the wrong setting, or we could do the font size. So I'm actually going to show you right here what we want to do. So we can now change the behavior and the looks of all of these things. You can see the quick links here. Actually, we need to change this. The quick links should say Get Help. This one should say About Nike. And the last one should say Promotions and Discounts. I'm going to copy this because I'm lazy. Quick links, Promotions and Discount, perfect. So you can see this a little bit large, of course. We don't want to show it like this, so we can just hit save. And now this would be the perfect example to actually go to our settings and change or apply custom CSS. So first what I want to do is I just want to reduce the font size. So I'm going to inspect now the elements in the other code just to see what was the font size that we used. 12 pixels, and we used it for all the links, I believe. For the H2s, and the links are they even smaller? They're the same size as well. Okay, so everything here, we can do H2, those are the headings, and A, those are our links. We would now say font size be 12 pixel, and everything is going to shrink. Perfect. And now let's see what else are we doing. And then on these links, you can see we're not seeing the underlines on the actual store. So now I would say, okay, in the A's, I want the text decoration to be none. And we want the color to be clean white. And that's, okay, we don't want this to be clean white, so now we have to actually call them out. So here it would be the RTE. And now we have those in clean white, and those are still in the gray. So again, you don't have to memorize any of that. This is just something that we do. I just wanted to show you how you can make changes to these. And usually people understand how you can edit code, but it's always dangerous if you just add a styling code to this entire theme. Then it could happen that the code will show up in multiple places, and your checkout maybe now have a smaller font. Your product page may now have a smaller font. But if we actually add it on the section level directly, this is only contained to this one element. So if you add it here, it will always only style this element, and it's not even possible to touch any other section of your site. Makes it so much easier to actually iterate, to know, okay, nothing can break. You don't have to test everything now. You just style it here, and it's going to look great. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is, you can see down here, we see the Powered by Shopify. This is the last tip I'm going to share, and then I'll send you your ways and actually build something cool yourself. But here with the Powered by Shopify, what we want to do is you can just click the 3 dots, and then to remove it, just click the Edit Default Theme Content. Why do we want to do this? Stylistic reasons, to be honest. I think it doesn't look too great to have the brand down here. It looks more professional not having it. So up here, just in the search for Powered by. It's going to bring up 3 options, and then where it says links and says Powered by Shopify, just add an empty space. So I hit the space bar once, I save it, and now when I refresh down here, actually this is the wrong one. Oh, I don't think we've talked about this. If we want to preview it, we can just click the 3 dots here, click preview, and now we can actually see it in action. And when I hide this bar, you can see it just says our name, but the actual Powered by Shopify is gone, or technically was replaced with an empty space. But this is looking really good. This is how we build a store. Now the only thing I forgot is to actually change this navigation to the actual navigation. So we can go back, just select this element, change the menu, we change it to our header, we hit save, and then you can see the only difference that I have that in the final build that we're not having in the, you can see it here, that we don't have in our example right now, is that the heading elements are actually bold and these aren't. So here you can just say technically I want all of them to be font weight bold, and that's it. And I believe the color is not a clean black, so I'm gonna just say color equals 111. Let's see, that's darker. And that's it. And then we forgot the sale. Let's see the sale element. What's the title of that? That's just, we might just do LI. And that's giving us the sale as well. That's how you do it. That's how you build a Shopify site. You can now, of course, go ahead, design your product page. And if you want to navigate to a different page, you can either do it by just actually clicking the element and it's going to bring up the page, or you can just click the selector up here. You can see all the pages you have. You can see the collection pages, the product pages. So there's many, many ways that we can design. This is going to be a little bit too much for this video. I don't want to bore you too much, but this hopefully taught you all the basics you need. You can just apply exactly these rules and you can come up with a fantastic store. Once you're happy with the design, we just go back, we exit the top left, you hit publish, and then it's live and everyone can see it and review it. And if this was useful to you, we actually have a full course on how we build everything that's involved here. And there's many, many things that we actually haven't talked about yet, like creating products, sending emails. Like you can see, these are all the products we have to create. There are rules how we can create good products. How do we name them correctly? how do we optimize them for SEO, how do we manage the variants and all of that. And I'll even show you the product page. We made, this is the wrong store. Let me go back to the original. Let's close them out. Let's open up our actual store. Yeah, we talk about email capture with the pop-up. So there's many, many more things that we want to talk about. But then you can see even the selectors. How can we show images here for the variants? How can we add a size chart? How can we add the selector here? So this is exactly copied from Nike, still done with the basic theme, with the free Dawn theme, just with a little bit of customization. We're using an app here, and then we have like many, many more great features like order tracking, even if we say shipping and delivery, and then track your order status. We actually have all of these integrations. So this is, if you want to learn this and everything pretty much you have to know about Shopify, then we have a community where I personally help you guys achieve the goals. You can see it here, it's called Effortless Ecom. It's $49 a month, but it gets you so much. So you learn pretty much immediately how to build the perfect Shopify store. You have the community where people ask questions. You can see when people have problems, they just post them. I help them fix it, or our team, even the community helps. But then I would say that's like the meat of everything. We have the classroom, and the classroom has the full Shopify course. Everything you have to know in step-by-step order. How do we connect the domains correctly? How do we, when I open it, you can see it. It's jam-packed. I even have to close it a little bit because this is so much content. The perfect settings, the perfect payment settings, shipping and delivery. How do you set up your taxes? Design overview, of course. We covered a lot today, but there's so much more. How do we even create collections? How do we automate them? And the store design, connecting domain. You can see domain alone is a lot of content. Bonus we have on taxes, increasing revenue, discounts. So that's just the Shopify course. But then, of course, once you have the perfect Shopify store, question number 2 will be, well, how do I find customers? For this, we have a meta ads course. This is my absolute favorite course. I do love Shopify, but this is where the money is made. So explore this course as well. Of course, you get access to that as well. It's one price. Shopify Essentials, great things here. Email templates you can just use today. How do you actually create a perfect product picture? If you take your pictures yourself and you want to look like Nike, or you can see it here, how do we go from like the standard cookie cutter image to something that looks super, super clean? You can do this from the comfort of your home, just with the modern tools. Drop shipping, we have tools and templates. We build our own sections you can just import. So it's absolutely jam-packed, and we add new stuff every week. We have, and then we have a lot of stuff coming. We have the masterclass member makeover, where I actually review your store, make changes to the store, and explain to the entire community why I made that change. So this is, my goal with this is to have just one platform where if you have a question, you don't have to go back to Google, you don't have to go back to YouTube, and most importantly, you don't have to hire a freelancer. You can just come to us, ask the questions, and we immediately point you in the right direction. And then this is probably my favorite, even though I already said this about the meta ads course. To be honest, I think this is my favorite. Twice a week, we actually host a live call where you can just join, hang out, but mostly people have issues with their businesses. And then I have access to almost all of the stores of our community members. And then I can sign in, fix the issue live, and explain everyone why we do certain things or how you can do it yourself. We have that with Lead Magnet the last week. I review ads live. So pretty much the goal is to have everything you need to effortlessly, and this is why we call it Effortless Ecom, to make it truly effortless to run your e-commerce business. It took us 7 years to learn. It shouldn't take you 7 years. We already have all the answers. So you can get all of this for $49 a month. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, then great. If you have questions, you know where to find me in this community. You can talk to me, of course. And I see you hopefully soon. Take care.